I'm joined now by our Foreign Affairs editor, Philip Turle. Hi, Philip. Now, as concern grows about a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine, what role can France play in diffusing the crisis?
I think France really wants to see itself as the European head of a group that is equally worried about what is going on in Ukraine as much as the United States, because Emmanuel Macron knows that from Vladimir Putin's point of view, Europe is divided, and Europe is not a strong a partner as far as trying to find a way out of this current standoff is concerned. So what Emmanuel Macron wants to do is put Europe back on the map and say, look, we need to talk to you. This is taking place in Europe. Europe needs to be part of the solution. Europe needs to be part of the discussions, and that's what Emmanuel Macron wants to do. Remember, back in 2019, Emmanuel Macron was describing NATO as being brain dead. He wants to kickstart all of that to give NATO a new lease of life and make sure that Europe is united, even though it's not united in its approach towards Ukraine. For example, Germany doesn't have the same ideas as France as to what NATO and Europe should do. Now, if you look at this map here, this is really the bone of contention that Russia is angry about, because you have Ukraine and Belarus. Belarus is strongly an ally of Russia. Russia doesn't want to lose Ukraine to NATO because all the countries in green there are former members of the Warsaw Pact, and they've all become members of NATO since 1997. And Russia sees little by little NATO coming closer to its borders. There is an argument going on also about whether or not NATO had agreed not to expand into those countries back in 1997. NATO has denied that. You can read about it on their website. It says that there was never an agreement when the Warsaw Pact disbanded in 1991 about NATO not being allowed to become, or those countries not being allowed to join NATO. And even Boris Yeltsin, the former leader of Russia, asked Bill Clinton to make that stand, and Bill Clinton refused, saying it was up to each country to decide whether or not it wanted to be a member of NATO. And that is really what we're talking about here, is how far Vladimir Putin can go to stop NATO from having its influence extended into Ukraine.
Now, meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has warned of implementing personal sanctions against his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. In what ways could those sanctions be difficult to implement?
Well, it's very difficult to impose sanctions on a world leader like Putin, because he is needed. He's a member. Russia is a permanent member of the UN Security Council. That is very important when it comes to negotiating, for example, the Iranian nuclear deal. Imposing sanctions on Putin could also boost Putin's popular status back home. Putin is really needed on the world stage, so it's going to be difficult to impose personal sanctions on him. I think what we're talking about here is more over sanctions, if we get that far, on Russia.
Philip Turle, thank you very much.